Since I was a kid of single-digit age, I've loved off-road RC cars. No rules, no course, no rhyme or reason, just a toy purpose-built for shredding over rough surfaces and playing in the dirt. Like many kids into RC cars, I always wondered what it would be like to be behind the wheel of one. Now, I know. Okay, I legitimately cannot believe how much disconnect there is between what I'm driving on and what I'm feeling, because I know the suspension is designed to absorb this and do exactly what it's doing, but it is doing it unbelievably well. If you've seen the things I write and the cars that I like to make videos about, you could probably deduce that I'm more of a sports car fan than an off-road guy. But I can absolutely see how you might want to spend $80,000 on this thing over something else. I have never had more fun in my life at the speed of 30 miles an hour than I am with the Ford Bronco Raptor. But ultimately, would I spend $80,000 on this instead of a C8 Corvette? I don't know, man. Ask me again when I'm not having the time of my life. This thing is way too much fun to be allowed. So yes, we know now that the Ford Bronco Raptor is as good off the road as it's supposed to be, and maybe better than I thought, because I haven't even taken it out of two-wheel drive, and I've just been having the absolute time of my life out here. As with any good review, I have to address what it's like to drive it in normal traffic and everyday conditions. I think I'm kind of going in with the Bronco Raptor a predisposition and thinking you definitely should not, even though you could. But maybe I'll be wrong, because if there's one place in this world that can make you decide whether or not you want to be stuck in a car all day long and try to deal with streets and parking, it is Los Angeles, California. Though the Bronco Raptor screams more Baja-style off-road to me than anything else, I took it to the iconic Cleghorn Trail on my way back into town just for due diligence. Unsurprisingly, it did quite well. Now, the Bronco Raptor is an astonishing 85 inches wide with its fender flares. Keeping in mind that the average parking spot is between 8 and 9 feet wide, you don't have a lot of leeway. However, you'll find that the 360-degree, rear-facing, and front-facing cameras make parking this monster a breeze even in the tightest of parking spots. Taking this into account, I found city driving the Bronco Raptor to be no problem at all. Despite the spare tire holder making the rear window entirely useless and blind spots the size of Nebraska surrounding you, blind spot monitoring makes lane changes a no-fear affair. In addition to basic city driving and off-road adventuring, I spent about 6 hours in one day on the interstate with the Bronco Raptor. The adaptive cruise control and lane keeping assist make it a wonderful road tripper. There are some drawbacks to interstate driving, but we'll get to that in a bit. After all, we are still in the praising section. At first glance, you would think the Bronco Raptor would be something extremely difficult to drive, especially for somebody like me who's used to a little tiny Ford Fiesta and daily drove a '79 Volkswagen before that. This is an extremely large vehicle, but surprisingly enough, it's super easy to drive and park and everything. It doesn't have the goofy twisting gear selector like the Maverick does. It's got a normal shifter. It's got a 360 camera, front and rear cameras, and even has panoramic front view for things like off-road trails and stuff like that. So overall, as far as using it every day, driving it to work, driving through tight parking spaces, super easy. Of course, as we all know, nothing is without its flaws, and it is time for the award-winning MotorBiscuit complaining section. Fortunately for the Bronco Raptor, the complaining section is short and sweet. Above all else, what I want to complain about with the Ford Bronco Raptor is the fuel economy. Now, while it's easy to pin that fuel economy issue on the twin turbocharged EcoBoost 3-liter V6 under the hood that makes 418 horsepower, anybody who's in off-roading right now is about to type a comment telling me that it's not the engine, it's these bad boys right here, the 37-inch tires, and you are correct. Just to make a point, the Explorer that is available with this exact same 3-liter engine and 10-speed automatic transmission sees up to 26 miles per gallon highway, 10 more miles per gallon than the Bronco Raptor. And it all boils down to having to turn these ridiculous 37-inch tires, and in general, it's more off-road readiness. The Explorer is down a little bit in power, only 400 versus 418 that you find in the Bronco Raptor. I'm not convinced that's enough to make up those 10 miles per gallon. At any rate, we know that nobody's buying a Bronco Raptor with long road trips and fuel efficiency in mind, so we'll move on from there. That is a removable roof, and I drove this thing on the highway for about 6 hours in one day, and it was very windy. At first, it's pretty subtle, but after a few hours, it starts growing on you in the worst possible way. It's a little unfortunate that the wind noise is so potent, but again, it's one of those trade-offs with having a removable roof, so I'm hard-pressed to complain about it. Another complaint I have about the Bronco Raptor is the fact that you cannot lock the electronically locking rear differential without it in four-wheel drive. And if you don't know why I want the rear diff locked in rear-wheel drive, you don't have enough fun in cars. Above all else, I'm gonna throw my #1 complaint, my final complaint, exact same location I did for the Ford Maverick Tremor. That is the markups, not necessarily the price. I understand the base price of this is $86,000, and that is a lot of money. My problem is that this, a 2022 model year, this particular example's MSRP was $80,000, but right now people are paying over $100,000 for them. I'll always be a hater of markups, but the market decides what the market decides. Ultimately, other than that, the Ford Bronco Raptor is an amazing piece of purpose-built off-road awesomeness, and it is an absolute blast to drive. Going back to my question earlier though, if presented with the opportunity for the same money, would I buy this over a C8 Corvette? I still don't have an answer for you. I know, it's a cop-out. What do you want from me? I'm gonna shoot it to the outro now. Thank you so much for tuning in to the MotorBiscuit review of the Ford Bronco Raptor. Let us know what you think of this thing and this video in the comments below. For more of my thoughts and everyone else at MotorBiscuit's thoughts on the Bronco Raptor, be sure to check out the link in the description and visit MotorBiscuit.com for all sorts of automotive goodness. And be sure to follow us on Instagram at MotorBiscuit Official. Follow us on Twitter at Biscuit Motor. My name is Braden Carlson. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time.